And we're live! Hello and welcome to another episode of Pulse Chain. I'm Matty Allen with Fast Abdul and Crispy Man of Hexfire.io. Welcome.
Hi, Matty, welcome back.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I'm excited to hear what's changed since I took my sabbatical. I guess the price of PulseX is still exactly the same as when we did our last weekly stream about 3 months ago.
Sounds about right.
It's terrible.
So
I think you're right.
Probably Pulse and Hex as well.
Could be.
I don't know. You just talking about it gives me this pain right behind my eyeball. It's been a long time.
Well, I'm more bullish than ever now on Pulse Chain because of this $25 million sloshing around the dark web now. And yeah, so I'm excited. I successfully already made the bag this cycle with Texit Coin. Got like a clean 33x from when we had them sponsor the Hex conference in January. So ready to come home and let it ride. Parlay time.
Parlay, huh?
Welcome back.
Thanks. Yeah. So yeah, like got a lot of juicy alpha when it comes to like the 25 million and like the sacrifice bags and everything. But you know, there's really something grinding my gears right now.
And what's
Yeah.
Well, I think there's kind of been a lack of leadership in Pulse Chain, and that, you know, maybe that makes sense since it's true DeFi. But I think ever since, you know, Pulse Chain launched, even before it launched, you know, Richard Hart, I don't know that he ever meant to be the center of it because it's DeFi. That means it's decentralized. And so, yeah, I think, you know, evil thrives when good men do nothing. And so the more people that can be out there streaming and like telling the truth and, you know, correcting the info that people put out there, probably the better if we do want to see DeFi thrive. You know, in the past 3 months, in the past 3 years, crypto is not getting more decentralized; it's getting more centralized, and so we do have a risk of repeating just the entire banking system that crypto is meant to get rid of, with crypto like basically finance companies taking over Bitcoin with all kinds of stuff, all these ETFs and hedge funds getting involved, all these like paper Bitcoin flying everywhere. Yeah, it's just it's just recreating the stock market with all of its corruption and everything, I think. So yeah, like I guess I got pretty annoyed whenever certain people were pushing the PDI narrative, because you can't have it both ways. Like, if people want to look to one of the smartest people in crypto, Richard Hart, for advice, and they want to believe in the thing that he founded, he was really clear. PDI, he's not behind it. He sees it as a negative thing for Pulse Chain, and he didn't mince words. He didn't beat around the bush. He was very direct. And
Those are just the words, though, Matty. You have to understand the feeling behind the words.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also say that, like, RH used to drop clues, and the community would have a lot of fun with that. like smart people would be engaged. But when you make a mockery of that process, when you twist it from, you know, let's take Sommi, for example. Like he went from somebody who was like reporting factual things, then he started showing his face, kept reporting factual things. Then he got a big hat collection and he became a meme. Like it was funny and interesting. And then he went down this PDI conspiracy hole and started not telling the truth anymore. And that in particular becomes an issue of, well, now it's not a funny meme. It's not the truth. And, you know, I'm here for crypto. Crypto means decentralization. It means verifying things, being able to trust and verify, speaking the truth. And so, you know, while I do support free speech, I also feel like I'm doing the community a disservice if I'm giving badges out to people doubling their views and they're not telling the truth. So, yeah, I mean, when I see $25 million moving around, and then I see, oh, today there's a PDI conference, you know, I've always supported all the other conferences, whether I liked the people who did them or not. But again, at some point, you have to take a leadership stand, even if there's something unpopular. You have to say, well, I don't think that's right to be doubling the views of somebody who's lying. And if that person has a strong voice in the community, then that's going to reflect badly on everybody. If Pulse Chain really is the, you know, it's the best form of DeFi, then it's reflecting poorly on the best form of DeFi, and that makes the best form of DeFi not as good. And so, if I was putting myself in Richard Hart's shoes, I wouldn't want to be rewarding bad behavior. I wouldn't want to be pumping the chain whenever there's a PDI conference going on. Like, and so, yeah, it really got me thinking today about kind of what our whole purpose was in the first place.
Okay, so where are you going with this? What's what will this lead to?
Well, I hope I get to do a lot more streaming because, again, I think like the solution to speech you don't agree with is more speech.
Fair enough.
It's not,
But
you
I
know,
think,
not,
we
it's
have to
not
talk about
censoring people.
censorship as not being the solution, perhaps. Like we can talk about we don't like that thing, but it doesn't mean somebody else can't say that thing.
Sure, yeah, and yeah, that's exactly what I think too.
Okay, cool. I am also not always in agreement with Sommi's new style, though. Like there is another side to it, and I have been watching him lately, and there's a fair amount of posts, a fair amount of information that comes out that is not geared just towards that one token. So like I think you're right about, and I feel it as well, that like he's leading some people down the wrong path with the strong perceived belief in what's going on with BDI, but he's still selling the the company line of core tokens. He's still posting about Pulse Chain as being a good thing with factual details. So there's but it's kind of a question of like, yeah, like does one offset the other enough that we should let it go?
I mean, look, Netflix has a ton of great shows, but when they start, creating stuff that's so controversial that millions of people cancel their accounts, including myself, because of the sexualized messages they're giving to children. When their stock goes down 15 billion, that's people doing what's right and voting with their money. And yeah, so I think same thing here. Sommi can create a bunch of great content, but that doesn't mean that he's going to get a free pass, you know, for all the false information that he's put out. Like him, you know, turning the whole game of like RH giving clues to people and like, you know, RH playing along with the community. Well, now RH doesn't want to play along with the community, right? Because people are twisting his words and, you know, they're not even posting stuff that's relevant to what he's asking. It's extremely disrespectful. And it's not how you know, showing extreme disrespect and sarcasm, being rude, lying, committing, you know, making fraudulent statements. Those are all things billionaires aren't going to want to come play with you. They're, you know, they're not going to want to reward that behavior. And so I think, you know, yeah, it's an unpopular thing for me to say, cancel Sommi. Like, you know, Sommi doesn't deserve a Pulse Chain conference badge anymore. He didn't speak at the conference. He says he's speaking at the PDI conference. It's fine to have a PDI conference, but like, again, it's a poor reflection on the Pulse Chain conference. It's a poor reflection on the Pulse Chain community when somebody who's getting the most views or, you know, in the past had made the most entertaining content, when they're doing things that are so disrespectful to the founder, that feels more like a psyop than support. And you know, you see Richard, he's exploring who to block when he posts about block explorers, because people won't even answer the question about how to make the block explorer better. So like, you know, and then Richard's he's you know, having to give people the same lesson over and over again, like, hey, don't be bitter if you're down by 80 or 90%. The best crypto in the history of the world, the best financial asset in the history of the world, has done the same thing that Pulse Chain has done. And then it went on to achieve greatness. And so you're not going to be attracting people who want to further DeFi if you have people that are not only just making a joke of it, making a joke that's not funny, and then they're telling lies. That's not how you get the culture to the point where you're going to be able to grow into something great. So that, yeah, I mean, I really think Pulse Chain or the PDI has held back Pulse Chain this cycle. I think there's like a variety of factors that have been to blame, but I think that you know, when Ethereum launched, when Ethereum did its 10,000x, it didn't have all the weight of other tokens being added on when it did that, and so Pulse Chain kind of had a disadvantage in that regard. I think right now, who was it? I think it was Tangent who pointed out on Crypto 7's show that, like, you know, Pulse Chain is not going to outperform PLSX as it stands because Pulse Chain is held down by all these tokens that were paired with it when Pulse Chain had fallen.
By design by Richard, you know, to some degree, right? Like, you know, Richard made the world's biggest airdrop, and so automatically all these P copies were paired against Pulse when it launched.
Not the way that like Atropa and stuff like that was paired at the absolute bottom, because of this counterculture, in a way that, yeah, like, you know, that created a lot of weight. And so, yeah, I think that again, it's, and we'll be able to see this when I show you like the Pampy numbers. But being aware of everything that's tied to Pulse Chain, being aware of how the liquidity is between the RH assets, gives us a very clear picture of how the sacrifice address might, you know, do buys in the future, or at least should do buys in the future. Because when I run the numbers on whether it spreads the money, if it does spread money between the four core assets, you get very different numbers than if you just go into one or several, and it really surprised me because I wasn't calculating all of the different liquidity between the cores. And so I don't, I'd like to think that that was that, part of it is the market deciding like what liquidity to pair with what. But at the end of the day, it's like, people who are coming in to buy, I can't imagine a better thing to know than what else are you buying and what else is going to hold down what you buy based on the liquidity pools.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, yeah. Hey, I just want to throw a couple things to you, Maddie. So I don't agree with a lot of what you said, but it's not worth it to me to argue with you either. Because this is DeFi, man.
Well, that's how great shows are made. Like
I know. Well, yeah.
Disagree with me.
What I'm saying is, this is DeFi, man. People can do what they want to do. And a whole bunch of I get that you have an opinion. I just don't see it black and white like you do. Like all the PDI bros, they spent their money. So whether they're successful or not, and then you say, well, yeah, but they're hurting me. Well, are they really? I mean, it's DeFi. This is a chain. Who made the copy and left it out there for people to buy? Who left the contract there? And I'm not placing blame. I'm just saying, like, it's like, okay. And then we say lies. And I'm like, yeah, I get that because there's a lot of bullshit, right?
Some things are too far,
But I mean, there's if you like the bullshit, you'll eat it up. Like if I sat here and told you that Richard's going to take the entire treasury and pump the pulse chain, man, we'll get a whole bunch of people laugh that up. But if I tell you that he's going to buy PDI, then you get a whole bunch of people go the other way, right? All I'm saying is the dude hasn't called me and he hasn't told me what he's doing, and I haven't seen any promises, and he doesn't work for me, right? So I have no idea what's going to happen, and I don't know what's going to pump. But like you, right? I'm like, wow, I think this will go, right? I think something will go. And then I'll round it all the way back around because you're talking about onboarding people. I think a lot of this stuff is just noise in the background. It's DeFi. People can do what they want to do. And ultimately, the cores, which are oversold and a great buy right now, are probably the best bet, the cores. And of course, I like house. So,
agreed.
Sorry. Well, very long-winded. Sorry.
Right. So, yeah, like the most interesting thing to me in like streaming and creating content has always been like imagining what are the best plays. Like I don't have any place to tell people in a decentralized community what they should do in terms of like buying and selling and that kind of stuff. Like at the same time, as a leader, I want to promote the culture, and Crispy Man talks about storming and norming. Like that's the process by which communities like set their values by like butting heads, like deciding, oh, well, like, yeah, it's cool to like stay on Pulse Chain, or, it's not cool to like, I don't know. It's not cool to like, I don't know, sit there and lie all day or something, but one of the reasons why I know I got involved in streaming is I was yelling at the TV watching Discourse Syndicate back when they first started, like, oh no, you got that one part wrong. Like, and then they invited me on the show, and I got to like give my 2 cents. And then somebody would tell me, when I got some information wrong and stuff like that. But, when you have streamers that aren't interested in like streaming with others, they're, they're lying to their audience, that grinds my gears. So that's why, I want to say something about it, because
that's fair. If you know that they're lying and that's how you feel about it, you can express yourself, right?
I agree with that too. But like when you talk about like taking away badges, which like there's perhaps legal sides to that, other details, but like it becomes a more meaningful thing. So like when we look at truth as a concept, like often it can be defined as your truth, right? My truth, what I believe to be true. And who's to say with 100% confidence what somebody else believes to be true? With somebody like Sommi, because like I have like a sense that he's pretty smart, probably smarter than me. So I feel like some things that I disagree with, he knows are not true. But can I prove it? Not on paper.
Well, we saw the truth when Richard tweeted whatever 35 times.
And I believe
It
those
was
statements to all be
was
true, but it
being
doesn't
very
mean everybody else
direct
believes.
and true, and then since then they've just been further manipulated, and the lies have continued. And so if if you're going to say, oh, it would be advantageous for Richard to like get behind PDI because this and this, you're putting it out there, that's a different statement than telling people this is it, and just making the lie 10 times worse. And so there's a difference between theory and like being intellectually honest too. Like it's I think if this behavior, if it doesn't get called out, for me, the mistake I made was doubling the views on Sami's Twitter. And I've had a long history of like trying to find what is morally right for me when it comes to like getting views versus like associating with people I don't agree with. Great example is Mario Nafwal's shows. It was like doing 5 or 10 of those appearances where you're getting 100,000, 200,000 views to a broad crypto audience. Then I found out that they were they're just basically getting paid sponsors and like not being as clear as they could have been about like the fact that they're paid. And I saw all the tokens that were like guests on the show pretty much going to zero. And so I stopped going on the show for a while, and then I then I reevaluated further down the road, and now I think they've cleaned up their act more than before. So yeah, like it's again, it's like every leader's responsibility to make their own decisions and to fight for like the culture that they think is right, to like do the right thing. And yeah, so where I have learned and want to grow is like, well, I don't think just getting views, like getting more views for somebody with a Twitter badge under my organization of Pulse Chain Conference and Hex Conference, like if that person isn't telling the truth and they're in fact telling lies about Richard Hart, and those lies are hurting Pulse Chain by value extracting and by based on a lie, like people are buying because they believe that Richard is behind this token. And it's somewhat believable to people who are just following and don't have enough time to like research for 18 hours a day. Yeah, because like Richard used to play these like hinting games before. And so yeah, just at some point, whether the person knows that they're lying or not, like there's level of intellectual dishonesty, there's level of bending the truth, bag bias, all these things. I'm not condemning the person, I'm condemning the behaviors. And I'm drawing a line based on what I can control, which is simply like, for the Pulse Chain conference, like, giving badges out to people who are lying about the Pulse Chain founder, who are leading people into, buying things that, are hurting Pulse Chain. In my opinion, somebody else can have a different opinion. Go start your own conferences, and that's what people have done. So at the end of the day, yeah, like it comes down to like, what can I do to set a good example and to, correct any mistakes that I've made in the past.
See where you're coming from. It still seems like you're making a unilateral decision, which perhaps is you're right. But like there's other sides to these things. And like when we look at crypto as an entertainment industry, which is something that like I know both you guys are aware of, is that it's not just numbers or people won't show up. It has to be interesting. We got characters on the screen. Um,
Sure.
like that kind of thing. And
That's a
Sommi
good point.
does fulfill that role. Now, whether like when he tells people things, right? Now, things about Pete Dye that I don't agree with, that Richard clearly doesn't agree with, that I believe are lies. Like he tends to give a very strong disclaimer of like, "Don't trust me. I'm wearing a Pikachu hat." So, like, is he providing false information? Is he providing entertainment? To me, it's both. If I were to speak honestly, but like there are people looking for that, and he is bringing people to the chain. There's and it could be argued that PETA brought people to the chain, whether that was a good thing or not, whether those people got wrecked and left with a bad taste in their mouth, that can be argued. But like that Somi is somebody who has brought some adoption to Pulse Chain, not just through PDI, but through his other endeavors. I think that can't really be questioned realistically.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just think like, you know, whether the founder would be more engaged or not, if the most popular people weren't lying about what he's saying, he was very clear that he wasn't happy with this. And so I can't really be running a conference organization that's my own that is promoting people who are being disrespectful towards the founder.
I think that is a fair point in that
it is.
I think there's a portion of this. I don't know whether Sommi paid for his or didn't pay for his, right? But I think when you're talking about branding and you're working with X and they have a code of conduct and then you have a code of conduct and you are in control of that quote unquote organization, yeah, you have a responsibility to maintain it. Now, I may not agree with you, but I understand that you have the right to do that. I mean, that's how I would handle that in a business way. And actually, I don't think the person that you're talking about, Simon, is going to care one way or another if that's the case. Because again, this is DeFi. He's got, people listen to him and they either walk or they don't, based on what he's saying. But they get to decide that. We don't tell people what they can believe or not believe. But I don't even see him. So I'm not sitting here even saying there's a serious problem, but I acknowledge that you think there's a serious problem.
When you look at it,
I just don't see him as the primary problem. If I was going to think it was a problem, I don't see him because I don't know. When I listen to him, I think maybe there's other people who don't think this. They think he's taken seriously. I think a lot of it's just shtick. That's what I think.
Well, and yeah, there's always going to be like entertainment, and there's always going to be satire, sarcasm, and like people can see on my tweets, like sometimes I get a little sarcastic, sometimes I put out a zinger, but yeah, again, it's just like when you go head to head with the founder, and then months later you're still not even in my opinion, not even walking the line between, this is a game, haha, or something, but you're like, you're doing things that the founder said is actively against what's good for the price, stuff like that. So it just, I really see great hope for Pulse Chain. I think Pulse Chain can do a 22x from here, in between that and a 20,000x, depending on how millions of dollars flow in. And I think that could happen with or without the Pulse Chain sacrifice address participating. I think the era of money printing is like about to go to a new all-time high. We're not even there yet with like how much Trump wants to pump the market and how much incentive there is for the Secretary of Treasury and all these people. I mean, they all want trillions of dollars in stable coins. They all want Bitcoin, to go to the moon. And so, and there's infrastructure that's been set up in the past 3 months, like, to help that happen. And so, I've really been exploring, even for myself, how to update my worldview on this crypto cycle, because last 3 crypto cycles, you'd have to be a fool to think that this time's different.
This time's definitely different.
And so, like, the question of, is this time different? That's it's really hard to answer. And
that's the world we live in.
On Twitter, sometimes you see me typing out a bearish thesis. On Twitter, sometimes you see me typing out a bullish thesis. And I think it's important to have those conversations. And I think, if I come back to streaming more regularly, then I'll get to better inform my audience of what I see, kind of how my thought process evolves. But yeah, so I'm not, like, bringing up the cancel Sommi thing as, like, a point about, I don't think Pulse Chain is going to be successful if we don't cancel Sommi. It's more that I do think Pulse Chain is going to be successful. And so, I want to give my 2 cents on, like, what I think the values should be of the future of DeFi. And I don't see his behavior in the last year really lining up with that. So the answer to speech you don't agree with is more speech.
Fair enough. And when I think about it, and this was not something I thought about previous to this, but, like, when I think about the organization, the conference, the badges, it does sound more reasonable that, like, yeah, if you're not participating with the founder of the of the chain that the organization is based on, not that he runs the badges or has anything to do with the conferences,
not at all,
directly, like, yeah, there is a conflict of interest there. My question would just be, like, if we hyper analyze everybody who has a badge, who's ever had a badge, we could find a bad day where they also created a conflict of interest. So yeah, how many badges are we going to pull?
Well, first of all, it's hard to keep these badges going for people that haven't donated. And so that's, like, it's a pretty easy criteria, seeing when, they cost sometimes more than $600 a year when you include the organization costs. So I think there's been a really, really, really small percentage that I pay for personally, and then most people are paying their own way. And we've got some, like, all-stars who have had a badge in the past and, like, don't have one now, and that always hurts, for me to take to take those away. But it becomes a matter of financial responsibility. And I've even said, like, for Nuclear Herbs, I was like, hey man, like, once Pulse Chain pumps, like, let me treat you to a badge again, that kind of thing. And so I mean, I'd love for Richard to have one too. And but I know that not everything's possible, but maybe that could still be in the cards. So yeah, I think the real news today, and I see Cultivate Crypto in the chat here, and I was actually in the chat last night when him and Dollar Cost Crypto went on Fresh and Fit again. Fresh and Fit has well over 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and Charlie and Miguel are the gurus that they have many times a year on their show to educate people about crypto. And Charlie and Miguel are longtime Hex and Pulse Chain supporters and believers, and they have one of the probably one of the longest running, largest paid crypto courses in history. And so we're definitely lucky to have them in the chat and involved in Pulse Chain.
They actually get outside the echo chamber, which few of us managed to do.
Right.
Crispy and I are talking to a lot of people, but they're mostly the same people every day.
And I find both are valuable because when you speak to the audience that's already in, it allows people to engage in a way so that they don't sell early, or they don't dump. And so, even if you've only got 100 people watching and 10 of those are whales, well, guess what? You may have saved the day, making it so that Pulse Chain doesn't go down another 50%. And so when we talk about views, it's I think it's really underrated. Like shows like this, shows that you guys do, keep the whales engaged while people like Charlie and Miguel and myself and others are out there hunting for new whales to bring in. And that's the the more buying and less selling. Both you need both of those in order to have the best price performance. So I appreciate you guys too, very much. But the reason I bring it up is because I had called into Fresh and Fit, and I guess I didn't call in time like to ask my question on the show, but I was gonna break the news live on air that Fast Abdul had been watching the chain and saw what was it, 5,200 ETH or something move out of the
5401 was the
okay
24-hour balance of ETH that got moved yesterday. 5,401 ETH.
Yeah. So
so what does that mean?
Well, Fast Abdul and I had spent a good deal of words chatting back and forth about what it could mean. And I guess that's up for debate here on our show. Like we can all be intellectually honest and like speculate without lying or anything like that. We can like bring back the culture of like what if, like with good intentions. And I think it's easier than in a tweet for me live to be able to say this, but this, and if. So for example, something I would have added to this tweet if I could have made it more dense is well, let me read it first. So it says, breaking, $25 million just moved from the Pulse Chain Sacrifice wallet. I opined this could be the easiest 20x to 20,000x of your life. I'm aping hard. We saw this last year too. There's another $750 million where that came from. The timing is right. Let's go. And then I put 3 sources in there. Look into RH, which shows you the, let me see, is it? Yep, it's following my screen share. Shows you, ETH is down a little bit, it looks like today. But yeah, that's the tracker of the wallets associated with the Pulse Chain Sacrifice address. One of like what strategic ETH reserve.xyz calls a Pulse Chain, what do they call it? It's a Pulse Chain treasury. No expectations from our community, but that's what they call it. And that's one of the largest quote unquote treasury accounts in Ethereum in the world, like top 5.
Top 5, I think.
Yeah. So that's cool to know that like that is a wallet of somebody who we don't know, who put like $20 million into Pulse Chain at the beginning of last year. Then here's a link to the Block Explorer where there was lots of money going into Tornado Cash. Now the caveat on Tornado Cash, I guess, is it might take like a couple weeks to marinate before it can move out of Tornado Cash. Of course, we can't usually, we can't see where it moves after it moves out of this privacy tool.
That's the idea.
And at the same time, I heard, maybe Fast can or Crispy can verify this. I heard that there was like $10 million that went into this tornado thing a number of months ago, recently, and then sometime later, $10 million showed up on Pulse Chain, just sitting there in stables. Is that correct?
Sounds about right. I don't have the exact numbers, but like back in April, 4,200 ETH went out, and I believe it went into Tornado Cash, and then there were some random wallets with stablecoins in them that are still sitting there that appear to be sitting on Pulse Chain. So yeah, it could be true, but of course, with Tornado Cash being a randomizer that gives privacy, we cannot confirm. Those could be
Right.
any whale sitting on Pulse Chain with millions of stable coins idly waiting for something.
Right. And sounds good to me either way. But that's, so to me, that's wildly bullish. This, like this entity has already like done massive buying between the end of the Pulse Chain or the end of the Hex conference in January 2024 until the all-time high of Bitcoin in March, around March 9th of 2024. And that was just last year. And then at the beginning of this year, what was that, February or something, we got Pump.Tires launched on Pulse Chain, which was like a wealth creation opportunity for some. Not me, even though I was sitting there when it was launched. Guess I didn't know what to buy or what to do. But
it's pretty much the same thing every time now.
It was kind of a flash in the pan, but still something where you saw you saw like something special happening on Pulse Chain, something extremely bullish, you could say. And so I am not strictly counting on the sacrifice address to like pump our bags, but I still see it as in the cards. I see the rest of the macro bringing Pulse Chain up with it. I see the millions of devices going out as something that could really get things going. And really the liquidity is such that like just a few $1 million can make a big difference. $10 million can make a big difference. This is multiple X's, many X's, many hundreds of % up that's possible. Richard actually tweeted right before we went live. I don't know if whoever runs the Richard Hart Twitter account like saw that we had this scheduled or not, but I'll go ahead and read that here. It says next week there should be 700,000 LCD tablets have been donated to charity but not given away yet. 100,000 were given away already. I take that to mean like shipped out into rich zip codes in the United States.
Yeah.
That's about $10.5 million of value at retail prices. Should they sell some to fund outreach? How can you help get them where they will make a positive impact in the world? The messaging alongside the device is totally vital, and the impact of the device on the world will be directly tied to the impact of the messaging alongside it. I think 200,000 of them might have magnets for sticking on refrigerators.
Awesome.
Getting them into the right hands or having some great mechanics alongside them would make the outreach more effective. Just handing out free devices randomly doesn't work. I've seen YouTubers doing lots of raffles. So I guess raffles work. What else might work? So it sounds like
Did he
Go ahead.
actually say in there that giving them out for free doesn't help, or did you say that?
He said that.
Handing out free devices randomly doesn't work. So, but I think the operative word is randomly. Like if it's targeted, to specific people, not random. You pick those people for a reason. I suspect it probably does work if you pick the right people.
Yeah, I get that because listen, you can spend a lot of them randomly and just give them to people that never are interested. Right?
Yeah. Handing them out on street corners, not good.
Unless you happen to be on Wall Street.
On a good street corner.
There might be. There might be some
Right.
opportunities that way. Johnny Chaos on the sell to fund outreach part. This is sort of a twist on it. Johnny had a kind of this like interesting idea about getting more eyeballs on the tablets by getting them onto the Amazon store.
Cool.
And allowing Amazon to actually, because you can do a lot of fulfillment anyways through Amazon. Now I get why there would be reasons why the donated ones might not go on that route, but anyways, his premise was, hey, listen, it's free advertising, man. You get it on there, you get something trending, you get a lot of demand for something. There's just some upside, I think, to having it on the Amazon store.
Now, like I get the advertising thing, but like there could be the upside of having like a supply of them, whatever, 1,000 of them on Amazon for community members to buy for a reasonable price.
I want 6 of them right now. They won't send me 6.
Yeah.
Right. So
I got a generic one.
Yeah, I'm branded, dude. But that's because you went and got it yourself, right? But if I would support by getting 5 or 6 for the family. I got 5 grandkids. I'd hand them out, right? So yeah, I mean, there's reason that, and I think that would drive demand, make it more visible, blah blah blah. Yep. There's a lot of people that would, and of course, not to mention the ones that just want to have fun with eBay.
People would buy them to I support you giving them to your grandchildren, but like I think like influencers, KOLs would buy them to show them on Twitter, on YouTube, right? Like, oh, this is the tablet. They could actually reference it. They could use it to make memes, right? Like all the stuff, if they had a way to access it, and if they could do so for a reasonable price, probably not the $1,600 that we've seen on eBay, which is also, I think, good marketing. That could be a thing, right? Because you'd have lesser known influencers who would buy these and show it to people.
Yeah, I'd buy them to give them away.
Yeah. So I would buy one for $20, give it to Brock Pierce. I would buy one and give it to Jordan Peterson, to Hawk Tua, like all these people I've hung out with in the past 2 years. So that'd be clear. And then I guess it'd be up to like us YouTubers who tell the truth, like, yeah, we could raffle them off. Again, that creates more eyeballs. And if the foundation is able to do it at a profit and able to use that to buy more LCD tablets, then that becomes a net positive for the movement, and also helps to, it's fun that the first 2 people who put them on Amazon are making hundreds of dollars, but we know that we know Richard, he doesn't bad deals and stuff like that. And so I was.
He wants to go big too, right? Like he doesn't want micro marketing. This is massive, never before seen marketing.
I was kind of predicting that this would happen and hoping that the non-for-profit would have the whatever financial infrastructure to be able to sell something at a profit, and be able to roll that money back into the project. And it sounds like, just reading between the lines here, that may in fact be the case. So again, I see this as massively bullish that these problems are getting solved, where people like me who, now that I made my bag in Texacoin, to fund the next 3-4 years till the next cycle, I'm going to be at the crypto conferences. I'm not going to have to sell Hex or Pulse Chain to do it. And so, you know, I would be one of the people that would love to, you know, help push this marketing in real life. So really cool that this is breaking news from Richard Hart about the giveaway movement, the never before seen marketing. Very cool. And then he also made a note here that the pictures that he included are just random pictures of similar smaller devices for sale at Staples. So there you go. So wait, so let's do the math here. So he said it's about 10.5 million of value that's already been given away, or does that mean the 700,000? Is that the 100,000?
At retail prices.
10
Probably includes probably the 700,000. So divided by 700,000, we have $15. So he's saying $15 retail price, which sounds reasonable. I think that's, you know, if you go to Walmart or whatever, you buy one of these, one of the fancier ones, it's probably somewhere between 10 and 20 bucks. 15's a good median.
Okay, nice. So to me, like if we go back to like the previous topic of where did the ETH go?
Where did it go?
That's it's a joke for people who have been here at least 5 years.
Yep.
Or who are in the know. So $25 million moved from the sacrifice address. There could already be $10 million on chain doing its thing, waiting for the right time to buy, which would be at least a week or two after the ill-fated PDI conference. Can't have them taking credit for pulse chain pumping. But I don't know. That's about the amount of time that it takes to like get your privacy back with certain, you know, protocols like Tornado Cash. I like when I'm doing the mental math, I'm imagining the 25 or $35 million. That's more than like all the tablets that are even planned, let alone the, I don't know, maybe $1 million was spent to get those $10 million worth of tablets. Because Fast and Dual tells me that he estimates the cost of each tablet at 65 cents.
Like that.
The mailing on something like that, if you're getting, you know, rates that are for a foundation or charity or whatever,
they get half price, right? So you're talking like 30 cents each. So
okay,
it's
so that's
around
$1.
$1. Right?
And what have we speculated is the total number of tablets that we think is going out? Like that's been hinted at. Is it 5 million?
I think it's 10 million.
Yeah.
10 million?
What do you think, Crispy?
I don't know. I don't know. I know that they keep saying they'd like to see 1 million this year. So, but whatever. I mean, just know that it's going out.
Okay. So I wonder what else that amount of money could be for if there's only 1 million tablets going out this year. And those tablets, even with postage, cost $1 million. Let's double that just in case there are other expenses. You know, what else could that amount of money be used for other than pumping the chain like the $20 million did last year? Like, that's the thinking I'm going through. That's where I placed my bet is that seems like something that could ignite the green candles like we saw with Hex for years, like we saw with Pulse Chain last year, you know? And I look at the comments on this tweet that I have here. People are like, calling me crazy and saying like, what are you talking about? Maybe I just like didn't explain myself enough, or maybe people really are like, maybe it's not so obvious to other people, and maybe I'm wrong, right? Like I can say that, maybe I'm wrong, but like I place my bets. People are saying to pay off Finland. Okay. Well, I don't know how much like the lawyers cost for the SEC, but I don't imagine that it was that much. I imagine it was probably closer to 10 million. I have no idea, but that's just my guess.
10 million's a
I
pretty
don't,
big lawyer bill.
But that's
I
a lot
get
of.
it.
Isn't this a lot of speculation? I mean,
It's all
with
speculation.
caveats, but like, you know, this is, you know, this is the risk and reward. Like this is alpha that normally, you know, people could probably charge a lot of money for, but like the value I see is, you know, at least getting the small number of people who care enough to like listen to us, like, you know, to get their minds going so they can make their own decision. Like I made my own decision. I don't really want to keep that a secret, like what my speculation is. Because I think it's, you know, it is all happening on chain, like, and there is no certainty. So like, it's not a sure thing, but like, it's fun while you're waiting to like speculate. And I think probably the most value of me and others like sharing ideas out loud in Hex and Pulse Chain is that that's been used by the founder and the developers to build the products that they've built successfully. Pulse Chain had a group of people that gave ideas, a think tank. Hex had a think tank. Dev Kyle, you know, like he ran Monte Carlo simulations, like changed how Hex operated before it launched because he found something that the developer team and Richard didn't see. And so when we brainstorm good ideas, when we say, oh, what if this money is being used, like, what if this money is being used is the foundation that needs to be laid for us to have the game theory discussion of if it was used, what would be the best way to use it? Because that changes compared to a year and a half ago when we saw this wallet buy up, you know, what was it? All the tokens, and then it experimented with, you know, just PulseX, and you know, then kind of like, you know, went through these different strategies. Well, we know that the liquidity farms have changed a lot since then. And even as somebody who's like, I'm probably like pretty knowledgeable about like all these weird little details and like the history of Pulse Chain and like how everything went down, I was still very surprised to see how the numbers like turned out now on like, what if, you know, what if the sacrifice address is buying just Pulse Chain versus spreading out over the 4 cores, so on and so forth. And so
wow. Yeah,
I like
sure.
that you're challenging, like, you know, you know, how I'm making these statements, because that's helpful. But that's kind of where I'm going with it, is like, when we put stuff out there, you know, when the streamers and Hex and Pulse Chain put stuff out there, sometimes people listen, like Dipcatcher, you know, he was like, hey, cut the inflation on Hex. When he came on our that was the stream that Crispy and I put together
Yeah, I remember.
for the birthday, right?
I've been
Or was
seeing
it
lots of
stream
I've
before
been
that?
seeing lots of people call for parity the last couple of days.
Well,
Heard that too.
I've
I
heard that
said-
too.
I've seen them calling it. I didn't say it was going to happen.
When I saw that too, and I ran a survey yesterday, there were 500 votes, and there was almost an exactly equal number of people that were supporting eHex flipping pHex versus pHex flipping eHex. Like I was kind of asking broadly, like, which one do you think is the real hex? Which one do you think is going to be worth the most? and it was almost exactly equal. It was like 39% versus 38%, and then like show results was the
Well,
remaining.
yeah. Listen. Unless somebody's going to do something different than they're already doing, the market has already spoken, right? I mean, so to speak. That doesn't mean it won't flip, and it doesn't mean it won't flip more than once, man. But listen, guys, you're all watching this. If you haven't seen tokens go up in price and realize they went up because people bought them, and then saw them go down because they went down because people saw them, then I don't know what to tell you. You know,
It doesn't have to be rational, right?
so
It can
then,
be
so then, yeah.
crazy.
So then, when we look at these tokens, things could change pretty rapidly, Maddie. Like somebody could suddenly decide, hey, they're going to back EX and put up a lot of liquidity, but
Right.
otherwise, it's a game, right? Which one has more liquidity? We know it has more liquidity. Don't even have to say it out loud. You know which one has more liquidity.
So one thing that I don't hear being said when people are making the argument for eHex, which like I'm staked for many years. I have like an amazingly huge bag of like both eHex and pHex. Like I find myself cheering a little bit, when eHex has had its good run, in the past however many days or weeks. But then I go back to, looking at comparing the prices, and I'm like, wow, eHex is I think only a 2x away from like becoming more valuable than pHex. And then I go back to the game theory of like, why is it that Richard ever spoke out against eHex? Like that was a pretty, dark time hurt a lot of people's feelings, right? Like created
Sure.
this like kind of civil war, like, made
Well,
people more likely to.
He told us, didn't he?
He said the market has chosen. Like it could be argued
what was the
that he
game
helped the
theory
market.
behind that?
He
That was an observation of like
gave it a little goose. Like
yeah.
So if I asked you guys what was the technical reason that Richard maybe changed his mind or like didn't want to see eHex more valuable, what would you say?
I'll go first. It simply has to do with conservation of attention and energy, and I do get the meaning LP and all the rest. But listen, they're so intertangled with the holders that like you, like me. I mean, this is going to be around forever. And then of course, Kryptonite. Good point. BankX shakeout that finally happened. But that's what I would say because Richard's always been pretty big on. Trying to conserve fees and value and drive them into things that we like rather than things like Ethereum. And, paying the fees on Ethereum is not retained within Pulse Chain. But, I mean, that's my simplest, explanation.
I agree. Yeah. Like Pulse Chain was launched for Hex, largely to take care of the Ethereum staking fees problem, which some would argue right now it's cheap on Ethereum, but like if we see a 32K Ethereum, which is possible, I'm not saying it's going to happen. Like, yeah, we're going to have that same problem again. And who can say what the fees will be in 15 years? It could be insane, right? So yeah, I think that's one of the core reasons Pulse Chain was created, and that would be why he would push Hex on Pulse Chain. That being said, though, he's basically said roundabout or read between the lines that Pulse Chain is the Hex on Pulse Chain is the one that he's pushed to the front or not pushed to the back. So if people are going against that, is that a counterculture? And should we be taking their badges?
Yeah.
That sounds like a tough decision to make. But I think that there's plenty of room for people to like have opinions that I don't agree with. There's plenty of room for people to, speak their minds while still, like following the rules of X so that everybody doesn't get their badges taken away without, like it's one thing to say like, I disagree with Richard Hart. It's another thing to like spend months making videos, like lying about what he said.
lying is
So
different than disagreeing or making a joke, even, right? Like I just
right,
did.
right. Yeah, and
I mean,
sometimes things can start as a joke, and then months later, it's
I don't know,
swerved
dude.
way over the line.
So I think
But
it's a real. I think it's a slippery slope to be. I get that you feel like you did your own due diligence, but it's a pretty broad
well,
brush.
I mean, it's like the sum of all events. It's like, you're not speaking at the conference for the badge that you represent, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Strike
if you
one.
listen, you're going
uh,
back to
you know,
your personal thing that you
yeah.
have. You have
Um,
you have an
well,
organization that you made.
fast kind of like brought up like the topic again of like, what decisions am I making for my organization, and like, whether ehex like, is part of the line that's being drawn, for like people who have lied uh so many
So,
times about,
here's
about
the
PDI.
thing. Why don't you just send him a note telling him you're going to remove him from the organization? Sommi's going to be fine with it, dude. In fact, I haven't signed up
Oh,
for
well,
my.
yeah,
I haven't signed
it's
up
up
for
to
my
me.
badge. Like I haven't
I
signed up for my badge, but based on this conversation, I probably won't sign up. Because
right.
I don't need. Actually, my objective isn't to get thousands of people to watch me and stuff,
Right.
anyways, right?
Yeah.
But regardless, I don't want to be tied to you to tell me what I can say or not, so I won't sign up. That's all. I mean, and Tommy will feel the same way.
like there is like the set of rules for
So
Twitter that everybody
I
agrees to, and that part is fine, right? Like I have no objection to like, okay, I can't threaten people anymore on Twitter and the various things that are part of having
You
a
don't
badge.
do
That's
that.
good.
You don't do that now, man.
well,
Not
I
typically.
think I think I think we can come back, like we can come back to this discussion that we had earlier, but like the point that I was trying to make, just to wrap up that topic, was that I agree with Crispy that the reason why, and I'd put it in my own words, the reason why Richard chose not to support ehex and said bad things about it, if you want to say that,
Yeah.
is because of the cost of ending ehex stakes on Ethereum, taking value away from what can be put into Pulse Chain, when everybody got a copy, and maybe the original theory was both copies can be valuable. The community said, hey, why don't we like create, you know, practically infinite liquidity between these two things, giving them both like more value and like creating this cool cross bridge connection. And the reason why that theory was probably rejected, and I think this is something Richard alluded to in his many tweets about it, is like because that there would still be value that Richard sees as being robbed from Hex, from Ethereum, and the whole.
Wow.
We lost
Did
Matt.
we
I know.
we booted him out of here?
I thought I got booted for a sec. I was having Kareem flashbacks, but no, we
Hey,
lost Matt. I think he'll be
who
back.
rugged Matty? He'll be back. He rugged himself.
I
I
think
don't know.
he was getting to the point of Richard created Pulse Chain for Hex, and the reason he's pushing Hex on Pulse Chain is because we don't know the fees on Ethereum. They could take a lot of value out of the chain, right, or out of the community if you're paying $1,000 to unstake your Hex. So I do agree with that, and I do like. I know I made a joke about canceling the ehex shillers, but like there is a distinct difference in that like ehex has a mutable code. It's not a scam. It's not being used to drain funds from the chain, like or any of those things, right? So it's like we are talking about distinctly different levels of disagreement about truth versus just personal preference. Between ehex and PDI, I don't believe they're on the same page. But what do you think, Crispy?
I'm not touching
Here,
that one. I think just in general that we know. I don't know. I just keep saying things will piss people off, so I really don't want to go too far down to it. But guys, when people want you to buy their stuff, we tell you
yeah,
about it. You buy it, the price goes up, and then they sell it. I mean, it's I don't
can be the case.
I mean, it's just kind of like this. It's the game. It's speculation game. It's gambling speculation, and how we think we beat it and hope to beat it is with enough adoption over a longer period of time. But that's how I see it. So yeah, I currently obviously see. I think it's obvious, anyways, that Hex is superior to PDI. But I don't know what somebody's building in the background.
Pretty easy argument.
Well, I don't know what's coming out. I mean, it's like a big old meme token at this point, right?
So to not conflate like the speech that I'm responsible for, like my values of my organization, with like, you know, the fact that we like free speech as a part of a decentralized blockchain, and then to not conflate any of that with the idea that like, I think somebody needs to say and remind people, because I listened to many streams, even when I was on sabbatical, like, you know, of people saying, yeah, like, you know, isn't it so great that eHex is going up? Like, you know, not adding any of the context that there's a reason. And you know, maybe I'm not speaking about you guys, but like just in general, like I don't know that people are hearing, oh yeah, the reason why Richard said things that made people want to sell eHex before is because it seemed like Richard thought we were getting ripped off. Like and yeah, the market can fight back, and like, you know, people can buy the bottom of like a panic dip, and like that's all fair game. What people should remember though is that, like, you know, and I don't know where this fits in like the world of DeFi, but like when you have a founder and like he doesn't disappear and like he still tweets, like he can go back to saying mean things about eHex, right? Like he's been really clear about like, you know, the value that's being lost there in his opinion. Like that could be debated and everything. Like to me, there seems to be a pretty big risk still that never went away. Like if eHex flips pHex, like that might not be part of like the whole Planet Pulse chain, and it might be seen as the founder, seen by the founder as an existential threat that needs to be like stopped somehow. And like again, like that's, you know, like that's just what we're here for, is to like add commentary and like give different points of view. I would have loved for both of my bags to be really valuable, and I would still love for eHex to be really valuable. And I would love for the founder to come out and say like, hey, turns out like, you know, Vitalik fixed the fees, but we're still 1,000 times cheaper on Pulse Chain, and like Pulse Chain's still better than Ethereum, but like, you know, let eHex thrive. Like, you know, let them all be valuable. Like I would love that, but like that hasn't happened yet. And so the more that the market like fights the founder, who like has a history of, well, somebody who seems aligned with the founder has a history of buying $20 million, making us go up 20x. Like, you know, that seemed really good to me. And so if, you know, if we're, you know, if we're taking into account the founder, I get that that's a contradiction. And this goes along with like intellectual honesty, right? Like, I get that there's a contradiction. Like, we only care what the founder says. And then, you know, like, how are we the most decentralized chain? Like, if we're only waiting for sackbags to buy, how are we the most decentralized chain if like everybody's counting on just one thing? Which is why I'm glad that there's this marketing campaign, you know, that's like very decentralized, very like first of its kind, like probably going to be very effective, because I think I tweeted last week, like if you mail 5 million devices to the richest addresses in the United States, that's trillions of dollars. That's more valuable than sending 100 million to like the, you know, lowest zip codes or something. So so there's like, what was it? There's some unfathomable number, like $55 trillion of wealth in the top 5 million richest addresses in the United States. So that makes me feel like, oh, it's not just one centralized path of waiting for somebody to buy our bags. If that makes sense, like I just I one half of my brain, it wants eHex to like go to the moon. Like, who cares? I've got them both. But on the other hand, I do want to see Pulse Chain succeed, and I don't want any more civil wars. And I don't want the founder like pitted against the community or anything. So I'm not sure what
and
to do
this
with
is
that.
just conjecture, but Johnny made a good point in the chat that it takes only 1/3 the buy pressure to pump EHEX versus PHEX. So my question to the audience would be: do you think Richard loves EHEX 1/3 as much as he loves PHEX? Because that could be a thing.
I think like again, this is super valuable because it allows us to like have this discussion. Like, all right, I'll play the game. I'll say like, what if? So like, yeah, what if like, I mean, already yesterday, part of my game theory analysis was like, oh, EHEX got within a 2x of flipping PHEX. Now I see $25 million moving. Maybe that's preemptive. Maybe there's already $10 million on there to like, give PHEX the right of its life so that EHEX doesn't catch up. But what are other ways that like somebody who is the biggest whale in the system, the Poseidon, how could they how could they even out that equation? Well, now that BankX is out, maybe they could add more liquidity to EHEX so that EHEX has 3 times the liquidity and it can never flip PHEX. I think flipping PHEX would be a really big vote of unconfidence for Pulse Chain.
You could also do staking things, right? Like the OA could stake less on Pulse Chain, more on Ethereum, et cetera, probably the opposite, actually. Stake less on Ethereum, more on Pulse Chain, making more sell pressure on Ethereum from people getting more yield. That's
kind of tricky because you're raising the inflation, and the inflation is going out as a reward. And so it might be wiser to just pump one, and then when people EES to like get their PX out, then that makes that one that much more scarce. But
Pulse Chain has to be the star of the show, right? And Pulse Chain Hex needs to be the star of the show right now. I don't think EHEX can go. It's never going to go away, right? Like, it's immutable code. But I also don't think it should look really bad. I think it should look at least okay.
And the marketing tablets, they don't say PHEX or EHEX. They just say hex. And that also made me like think bullish thoughts for EHEX. So like,
the website is hex.com. It's the same website for both.
I just hate it when my parents fight, and my parents have been fighting nonstop about EHEX and PHEX, and I didn't even consider that last cycle when I was so excited for Pulse Chain. I didn't even consider EHEX having this, battle to fight, or this contention. So.
Well, I think you'll say, this is all conjecture, right? This about how things might actually happen, Matty. Right? You would agree this is just like guessing. We don't know. We can go by past events, but it's pretty likely that Hex and Pulse will be levered back and forth to do whatever they're going to do, and Pulse Hex and Inc will be separate from that, right? And there'll be some sort of alternation. To me, ends, whatever that might be. But I don't think EHEX will be in there but we'll see. Maybe OA will do something different, right? There's no benefit. It's too much slippage. Why would you slip yourself and lose value on something that's going to hurt you that bad when you can get the same effect just by pump and pulse? That's what Richard was talking about, things needing to be really tied with pulse and rather than anything else for price performance. I mean, that's where the volume is. That's where you're going to see That's where you're going to see things priced, and doesn't mean other pairs won't be bad. But
it's harder to buy a PHEX than EHEX, that's for sure.
Harder for who?
people who are new. And I did make a suggestion on Richard's tweet yesterday about seeing if the ramp now plugin in pulsechain.com can have a different default amount of money for people who want to buy PulseChain or any of the RH tickers listed there. If they want to buy, they get directed to this ramp now plugin pop up, and the default is in euros. 1,000 euros is the default. But when you switch over to USD, then the default is like less than $200.
Oh,
And
really?
I think if the default was $1,000 USD, that would lead to more power from the here it is. It would lead to more power from the tablets, from the millions of tablets getting sent out. I don't think they're being sent out in Europe as much as they're in the United States. And then so the default instead of the euro should be the USD, and the default for USD should be $1,000 if Ramp now supports that. Now, that's something we might need to look into, because it's possible also that Ramp now does not support $1,000 USD buy into Pulse Chain.
There must be a reason. But that's weird. Like, why euros but not USD?
Right. So it's just, like he's asking for suggestions, and like, here's a powerful suggestion I see, it's like, making this like as few clicks as possible for new people who are getting a tablet to like get a piece of the action. I want these, top 1%, top 0.1% of richest people in the United States. I want them to easily be able to buy more than $100 of Pulse Chain. And if Ramp now doesn't support that, I've seen new integrations in the Pump.Fun app. They make it really, really, really easy to buy. It might be that we have to get together a group again to like get listed on BitMEX or whatever it was that allowed Change Now to do up to $1,200 or $1,400 of USD into Pulse Chain before we got that taken away. But me being like a little bit outdated of an expert on like the on-ramping boards, this is what Pulse Chain is showing now for pulsechain.com. And so that'd be one thing that I would recommend in terms of that, again, allowing everybody to do better. Right? What's that?
They still have OX Coast as well. So
right, and that is listed on Pulse Chain, but it's not what happens when you go to pulsechain.com and you click the buy button. It's just like it's listed elsewhere. And so I think Ramp now, like, it's like a really well-known integration, a company that's been around like for a long time in crypto terms, something that like OGs trust. And so that may be why Richard, or whoever runs the pulsechain.com website, I shouldn't assume it's him, but like why they have it set up that way. But it might be a limitation of Ramp now, or it might be just a setting on the website when they link in this code that takes people to Ramp. Maybe they just have to change like the forwarding link or something, and then the default. Right. So again, and then just a quick note, because I'm reading a little bit of the chat before we have to wrap up here. But people who are yelling about things I've talked about that are down 90%. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Hex has been down 99.9%, and there's still lots of people who believe in that. So be the change you wish to see in the world. Remember that I don't talk about that many coins. And if you average out, the 5 or 10 that I've talked about since I started YouTubing, at the prices that I started YouTubing about them, you would certainly be up a lot of money. So yeah, I don't know. I would say like pay more attention or less attention to the stuff I cover because um, I'm actually yeah, I'm pretty happy with my hit rate. So yeah, we've covered a lot.
Indeed.
Anything missing? Anything to correct?
Did the big news of the day with the huge amount of ETH going out. We created controversy by talking about Sommi that some people may or may not agree with. You know, we had some arguments, debates. I think we did good.
We decided to cancel EX. I like that.
Ah,
No, and that's still in debate. Well,
did we decide that, or we just
Yeah, so,
just
yeah.
reading the tea leaves?
Escape.
I guess some people who are yapping about Matty Coin don't know that I put out a tweet to say I want to buy all the Matty in existence, and you can comment on that thread or DM me if you want to make an over-the-counter trade.
You know, if you want to use a good platform for that, Xerox Bistro, you can go and put an offer up in your token, whatever token it is, to have people pay in Matty.
Like I can basically do like a trustless over-the-counter trade. That's what you're saying?
Yeah,
oh,
so
that's cool.
You want to receive Matty as payment.
Yeah.
So that's an issue. You'd have to get that updated by the OX Coast boy. Sorry, by the Bistro guys, because there's a select list of tokens you can receive as payment. And Matty would want to receive Matty token as payment in return for something else, right?
Yeah, but I'm sure they'd work that out.
Could be a thing though. That I think they could add an additional payment token.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's one continues to you know, kind of be more interesting now that over 50% of the circulating supply was donated to Good Die, the Good Die sacrifice. So yeah, like I'm not aware of another token, and maybe you guys are, of tokens that have already had like over 50% of the token burned. And that's even if you just look at the circulating supply and not like the total supply, which is like, you know, 99.9999 held by an address that has never sold. So yeah, it's kind of again like simulating out things that remind me of things I wonder how they're going to work in Pulse Chain. You know, things that could give you a pretty good education, even if you don't spend $1. You know, it's like seems to be working out game theory and stuff that seems pretty valuable. And so, yeah, kind of good stuff that can make a lot of good education. So, yeah, and then I'm just thinking here. I guess like to close out the part that Crispy said about like you know, he wouldn't want a badge because like, you know, he doesn't want his speech controlled. For the first, I would say, year and a half of the program, like I made quite an effort to like prove to people that, you know, I was allowing, you know, like where the line was. You know, I was like allowing people to say things I didn't disagree with. I was allowing, you know, people to say mean things against me. You know, but like the line, it like wasn't figured out because like, you know, all the examples hadn't happened yet. And I, you know, there were times even when like, you know, when somebody would say like, oh, hey, like, you know, cancel this person. And I would say like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, you know, the rules are clear. But yeah, like whenever you're working in a system that's evolving and like things are changing, like at the end of the day, I'm responsible, and I'm accountable, to like, the audience and the people who like, watch the conferences, and I'm accountable to like the people at X and like the other people who have badges who have paid for them, who like don't want their badges taken away. Like I'm also accountable to my own like morals and ethics and stuff. And so it's, if you think, you wouldn't want a badge, like I can tell you, like you probably would not want to be in my position where I have to make decisions about this kind of stuff. And
Get to be king.
but at the end of the day, like I put a lot of my money towards it. And it's something where it's not something, being a leader isn't something that you can always get perfect. It's not something that's always popular either, but I'm just, trying to do what I believe is right. And like, before I leaned like really heavy on like, let people say whatever, as long as the badges don't get taken away. Now I'm starting to lean, in the direction of like, well, there's this one extreme example of, somebody who was just so disrespectful to the founder. I come back months later and they're still doing the same thing. And it's just not, it's not what the organization stands for. And it could be that the majority of people in Pulse Chain do like being disrespectful to the founder. And then, the Pulse Chain conference would be less relevant. But I wouldn't be wanting to be a leader in a culture, subculture of people where that was okay. So that's why I have to do the hard thing to say, all right, well, I was paying out of my own pocket for this person's badge. I was doubling their views because I thought that would be what's best. And then I like, took a hard look in the mirror and said, well, wait a second, this is not just like on the line of what I find acceptable or not acceptable, but I find that it's very against my moral compass for how to treat somebody who, in my opinion, Richard doesn't owe us anything, but could do a lot of great things for us. And I feared that like, he'll be less likely to want to do good things for us. Like if everybody is agreeing that spinning what he says to the opposite, even when he corrects them, is okay. Being disrespectful is okay. Yeah. So storming and norming, like it ain't easy, but somebody's got to do it.
That's true. That is the truth.
And I think I may have said this when you switched your screen off, but I didn't make this decision to take Sommi's badge away as a statement that I dislike him, but that I dislike his actions. So I think that's what it comes down to. And yeah. But at the end of the day, I really think, again, going back to like a positive note to end on, there could be millions of dollars already waiting on Pulse Chain to hit the buy button. And we didn't have a chance to go over this, so maybe I'll stream about this tomorrow. But when I break down how different buys would go on the Pampy app, based on distributing to all 4 coins or only one, that's something that really surprised me. And so that's something I'm hoping I can make a video about as well.
When you do that, keep in mind that I think my estimate is about 60 to 75% of the DAI on chain is not deployed.
Okay.
Talking about DAI from Ethereum. So you see a lot of people talking about that right now. I don't know how accurate of a number you can get for all the different stables, but you can see there's quite a bit of DAI, dude. right? So I don't know who owns it, and I don't know what they're going to do with it. But it's likely they're not putting it into stable token LP.
Yeah, and I guess a spoiler is that the way I approached the analysis for myself is that I looked at what a $30 million buy would do, which is a number that's very conservative when I look at the 20 million buy that happened before, caused another 20 million of retail to buy at the same time. Like people were buying with the OA. So there's $40 million of buy pressure. And so when I simulated this time around $30 million, that's even less than the 35 that I'm hoping has been moved for that purpose. So even if it was only the 25 and an equal amount of retail followed that, that'd be 50, and I'm only looking at 30. So one of the spoilers is that like that's almost the exact amount of money it would take to get Hex back to its all-time high. So it's it'll be something to look out for maybe on my channel tomorrow. I've got to run and pick up a kid from school, but where can people find you guys?
I can be found on X under Fast Abdul. I can also be found in about 4 minutes on a stream with Triplet Dad interviewing Kim Tran, one of the tablet recipients. So that should be interesting. Check it out.
Say hi to Kim for me.
Will do.
Xfire IO as always, and stay crispy.
Fast, do you have a link to that stream so we can have people raid you since it's happening now? If you want to drop that, or I can drop it in the chat if you can find it.
I can drop it in the chat. I have the power. He gave me the hammer.
Give me the power.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, because that's another cool thing that we used to do a lot in this community that we can get back in the groove of is, yeah, let's show up and support the next person streaming. In this case, our very own Fast Abdul. And so whether you're watching this live or on replay, my semi-accurate or inaccurate StreamYard is saying we've had 1,771 impressions or live views. And so go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button, share this out. And then whether you're watching live or on the replay, go pull up the live stream chat and click on the link here to go to the YouTube channel to watch Fast Abdul. You're interviewing here somebody who's semi-new to the Pulse Chain community who has, what is it, over 100,000 followers on Twitter?
No, you're thinking of Crypto Empress. Kim Tran has
right.
much fewer followers, maybe 700 or 800 now because of the Pulse Chain audience. But she was just like a recipient of the Pulse Chain tablet who posted online on X and then started engaging with the community. Right. So we want to talk to her. Like she's not like a crypto influencer. I don't even know if she knows anything about crypto, but like she engaged with the community. She asked questions like, what is this? How do I do this? And so, yeah, we're going to answer her questions more than anything, I suspect. But it's just very interesting to see this, good example of like what these tablets can do.
That'll be a very valuable stream because that'll be something that can be shared with other people who are new to Pulse Chain and will probably make a lot of sense. So
one tip for everybody: don't connect it to your Wi-Fi.
Okay? Don't connect it to your Wi-Fi. Yeah,
right. Guess you'd have to buy an extra circuit board from China.
That's a joke, guys. That's a joke.
Yeah,
to be able to do
doesn't
that.
connect your Wi-Fi. It's totally safe.
Well, as always, pleasure streaming with you guys. Until next time, stake wisely, my friends. And what do we got for an outro here? Oh, we didn't do the StreamYard built-in new sound controls. So nothing stops this train. And appreciate everybody tuning.
Can I do train sound too?
Go ahead.
I don't know.
You can just make a sound.
Under media assets. But then you have to add each sound. There you go.
I don't know.
All right. Until next
I don't-
time, stay wisely, my friends, and peace out.